Hello there, and thank you for taking time out of your day, and welcome to another episode of Words of Life. Today, we're going to be looking at a passage that hopefully you are familiar with, a section in Scripture that may not know specifically where it's at, but we're going to be looking at Numbers chapter 13 and 14. We're going to be looking at some verses that have to deal with the spies that went out among the people of Israel to go and take a look at the promised land at the command of Moses. And just can imagine Moses reflecting upon how foolish we were, or how foolish it was for us to not trust in the Lord as these individuals did. But beginning in Numbers chapter 13 and verse 25, when they returned from spying out the land at the end of 40 days, so there were 12 spies, one from each tribe of Israel, and they went out to look at the land, and it took them 40 days to go through it to see what it was like. Verse 26, they proceeded to come to Moses and Aaron and to all the congregation of the sons of Israel in the wilderness of Paran at Kadesh. They brought back word to them and to all the congregation, showed them the fruit of the land. Thus they told him and said, we went in the land where you sent us, and it certainly does flow with milk and honey. And this is the fruit. Nevertheless, the people who live in the land are strong, and the cities are fortified and very large. Moreover, we saw the descendants of Anak there. Amalek is living in the land of the Negev, and the Hittites and the Jebusites and the Amorites are living in the hill country, and the Canaanites are living by the sea and by the side of the Jordan. You can only imagine them just making this overwhelming display of the difficulty that is there. This is impossible for us to overcome. We just can't do it. Then one of the spies that went, in verse 30, Caleb, quieted the people before Moses and said, we should by all means go up and take possession of it, for we will surely overcome it. But the men who had gone up with him said, we are not able to go up against the people, for they are too strong for us. So they gave out to the sons of Israel a bad report of the land which they had spied out, saying, the land through which we have gone up and spying it out is a land that it devours its inhabitants, and all the people whom we saw in it are men of great size. They were depending on their eyesight. Again, in verse 33, there are also, we saw the Nephilim, the sons of Anak are part of the Nephilim, and we become like grasshoppers in our sight, and so we were in their sight. They have lost complete faith in what God had already done to the Egyptians, what God had over and over displayed, and they were only thinking that, well, this is just too big for us. No way that we could be delivered in this. God had been completely, in these 11, I should say 10 spies, had no faith whatsoever that the land could be taken. And just listen to their account, or how their account affected the rest of the congregation, or the majority of the congregation, because only a small portion stayed faithful. Continue in chapter 14, verse 1. Then all the congregation lifted up their voices and cried, and the people wept that night. All the sons of Israel grumbled against Moses and Aaron, and the whole congregation said to them, would that we died in the land of Egypt, or would that we had died in the wilderness? Why is this Lord bringing us into this land so fall by the sword? Our wives and our little ones will become like plunder. Would it not be better for us to return to Egypt? So they said to one another, let's appoint a leader and return to Egypt. The whining, the complaining, the intense doubt of what God had already accomplished, in thinking that Surely he has failed in what he has done, and he cannot do anything for us. It's just amazing what these people failed in, what they had not realized what God had already done and what he is capable of doing. The servants of the Lord, Moses and Aaron, as we see in verse 5, consider what they do in their reaction to hearing all this nonsense, and the two spies, Joshua and Caleb, and how they respond to this report. Then Moses and Aaron fell on their faces in the presence of all the assembly of the congregation of the sons of Israel. Joshua the son of Nun and Caleb the son of Jephunneh, of those who had spied out the land, tore their clothes. And they spoke to all the congregation of the sons of Israel, saying, the land that which we passed through to spy out is an exceedingly good land. If the Lord is pleased with us, he will bring us into the land and give it to us, a land that which flows with milk and honey. Only do not rebel against the Lord. Do not fear the people of the land, for they will be our prey. Their protection has been removed from them. And the Lord is with us. We do not fear them. But all the congregation said to stone them with stones. Then the glory of the Lord appeared in the tent of the meeting to all the sons of Israel. Just kind of encourage you to read the rest of that section, verses 11 through verse 35, because they were judged for their disobedience and their lack of faith. And I just wanted to point out specifically what happened to those spies other than Joshua and Caleb. In verse 36, as for the men whom Moses sent out to spy out the land, and who returned and made all the congregation grumble against him by bringing out a bad report concerning the land, even those who brought out the very bad report of the land died by a plague before the Lord. But Joshua the son of Nun and Caleb the son of Jephunneh remained alive out of those who went out to spy the land. There's so many lessons that we can take from that, demonstrating a complete lack of faith, and what that will end up being: total destruction of those who do not maintain a faith in the Lord versus people that maintain their faith and demonstrate that even in the lack, or in the front of great opposition, an opposition that could be life-threatening. We can make several applications to this to modern day Christians, because many people will fall away or not stick up or stand up for the Lord in great opposition. If life is at stake, or if there's great hardship that arises, they can end up leaving the faith and they will deny the Lord. But those that are faithful will stand up for the Lord, even in the face of physical death. So there is many things that we can more ponder in on, but I would encourage you to look at that account in the book of Numbers, see how foolish it is to think, well, let's go back to sin. Let us turn back and turn away from the Lord. Those people, those 10 who influenced a great number, saying, let's not go to the promised land. Let's not head to, in essence, heavenward, but let us turn back to sin. Let's turn back to Egypt, where somehow things are going to be better, which is ridiculous. Why go back to a place that you were delivered from? Why go back to a place that will certainly bring death? And it just does not compute with rational thinking. And it teaches us that what is rational is to follow the Lord. What's irrational is to turn away from him. And there's so many other accounts that we can look toward, but I hope that focusing in on this passage will get us to think, to make connections in other parts of the Bible, to see how it all fits together, that there is connections that can be made between the Old and the New Testament, that we can learn lessons from both, and that we need to understand the Old to understand the New, and we can reflect on the Old Testament to have the bigger picture of the New Testament and how it all is looking to Christ. So thank you for taking time out of your day and tuning in. And until next time, may God bless you and take care.